Tom LoBianco is a reporter for the Associated Press. He joins us now from the White House. Tom, so the White House says that they'll be looking into bump stock. Is this something you think they'll be able to work with both the Democrats and Republicans on?
Well, it sure looks that way right now. You know, what's fascinating about this is that there's support from conservative Republicans for this. On the Hill, we've heard from the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, Ron Johnson. He's supportive of something like this. We've heard from a former chair of the Republican Study Committee in the House, Bill Flores, Texas Republican. He's supportive as well. And what you see here from the president is really opening the door on what could be a pretty big move. You know, what's fascinating about this is that this is a live issue. As you know, and as we just saw with Jeff Pegues, this is still developing. It's on TV constantly. It's in front of the president's eyes constantly. So here we have something that is in front of him. There's a lot of momentum. It looks like it could happen.
Why do you think it is that these conservative Republicans appear to be coming out forward? Is it because the NRA came out on this? And do you know if that played into the president's decision, the willingness to address the issue?
Yeah, it really looks like there's a lot of momentum right now, and it began developing on the Hill almost immediately after the shooting. When you hear from people like Senator Ron Johnson, Congressman Bill Flores, I mean, these are stalwart conservatives, and I think what you're seeing from Trump is not following per se, but really taking the pulse on this. And they all seem to be moving in that direction. We have not seen, unlike in other mass shootings, we haven't seen the NRA come out and do a full-fledged lobbying effort against this ban. So that's really important, too.
So, Tom, beyond bump stocks, is there any willingness or indication on Capitol Hill that they might address other aspects of gun control?
The bump stocks really seems to be the limit of it right now. We haven't heard anything about automatic weapons, anything beyond that, assault weapons, anything, gun stocks, the magazine capacity, all those other items that we hear about periodically from Democrats. And I think you got to remember the political reality here is that the Republicans control the House and the Senate. For the most part, I mean, it's almost universally inside the Republican caucuses, pro-gun, so anti-gun control, however you want to phrase that. So it looks like bump stocks is where that's going to end.
Well, so the president last night gathered with military leaders where he made a comment that's kind of raising some questions. I want to play you that bite.
You guys know what this represents? Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr.
We have the
President?
world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
So I don't know if you could hear clearly, but he said the calm before the storm. What does he possibly mean by that, Tom?
Well, I can tell you at this point, we have a lot of questions over here at the White House about that. We don't know yet, and he hasn't explained that yet. We're going to hear from Sarah Sanders here shortly with the Daily Briefing. There's certain to be some questions about it there. We just don't have a clear answer. What could it mean? It could mean anything. There's been a lot of talk recently about the Iran nuclear deal. That's certainly fresh in everyone's minds. It could have something to do with North Korea. Maybe it has something to do with tax policy. We just don't know at this point.
You're right. There are a lot of moving parts over there. I want to ask you, though, why tease this type of information when you're surrounded by military leaders? It's kind of raising a lot of concerns as to what he could be possibly hinting at.
Well, and you know, look, that's a signature move from Trump there, throwing something out there, leaving a lot of us guessing about it. Maybe he saw the moment. He's very instinctual. He does these things on the fly. We know he's not scripted. So maybe that was, he looked around, saw the military leaders there and thought, maybe I'll throw something out there for the press to ask questions about. But we would love to hear some answers. I can assure you that.
Yeah, well, I hope in just a few minutes when you're sitting in that White House briefing, we'll know a little bit more, Tom. I do want to ask you, though, I want to address the Iran nuclear deal. The president's expected to decertify that. What are his advisors saying? Do you think that, is the sense that they agreed with him to do this? Was there a divide on this decision?
Yeah, there seems to be a split internally inside the White House over whether or not to go forward with this. But it seems like the momentum is on the side of decertifying. Now, you don't want to put that too much on the White House here, because what that does is it kicks the issue back to Congress, and then it puts the debate in Congress. And what's fascinating about this is that you have a theme here of the president taking big issues, making big statements on them, but then handing it to Congress. Remember on DACA with the Dreamers and the immigration, he took that, he said he's going to end it, but there's a 6-month window, and then he kind of turned around and he said, I want Congress to act on this within 6 months. So you have a similar thing happening here, where this moves down Pennsylvania Avenue from the White House back to Capitol Hill.
And can the Iran deal actually be renegotiated, Tom? And what would a better deal even look like?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of parts in any sort of international treaty that you have there. It's clear that among the hawks inside this administration, they don't seem to trust that you have a good actor in Iran with this deal. Obviously, a lot of criticism for the previous administration and the way that they hammered it out. I think we're still waiting to see some details on what specifically a better deal would look like. But again, this is all very new right now and still being hammered out.
Yeah, we look forward to some more details. The president also pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and he's trying to renegotiate multiple trade deals. What's the sense from allies? I mean, are they still confident that they can have a reliable partner in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear where he stands on these things. The climate accord, they might not be able to back out of immediately just because of the way that was hammered out, but he wants to back out of it. So that much is clear. The White House is not changing its stance there. Again, with the nuclear deal, we know from the campaign his criticisms of it. We know where he stands on this thing. He does not appear to think that Iran is a good actor here. And, we just have to see what details they have for us.
All right, Tom LoBianco coming to us from the White House. Tom, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Rena.